Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today we're going to try and solve a problem that's fairly common to bait casting, particularly round bait casting fishing reels, and that is that the free spool release isn't working. You can push it down every now and then, it'll work. Most of the time it won't. And Eric sent this one in. He told me two things. He said it's becoming more and more difficult to push down the button, and there's a noticeable gear grind in there. Well, those are two very good clues about what is going on with this reel. This reel is the Ambassadeur 6000. It's a beautiful example of a made in Sweden Garcia, Abu Garcia, or just an Abu. I'm not sure how they're branding him here, Abu Garcia. And we're going to take this apart. We'll show you what the cause is and how to correct that, and why this is happening. We'll explain it all. So I like to start by removing the exterior pieces and parts. And I've been in this reel. This has been repackaged because I had to do the diagnosis in order to get a replacement part. And if you play along with me, we'll try and figure out if I was right or wrong. But there's a thing that I do in my shop. If I have a reel that I have to order parts for, I like to take it and put it back in its place. That way all the pieces and parts stand clear for the time when those parts do arrive. And I've been waiting on parts about a week now for this reel. All right, so you had a little nut cap there, and as I take the parts off, I would be remiss if I didn't thank our first responders and essential personnel, everybody who's involved in keeping us safe during this pandemic. They truly are our local hometown heroes. If you know one, please thank one. What they're doing is just outstanding on a day-to-day basis to keep us safe during the pandemic. All right, took the nut off. There's a E-clip on here. Usually you can get this off with your fingers. Sometimes you can't. If you can't, just use the tip of a screwdriver. Be careful, this thing does want to fly. It will have some tension on it. You can see how it comes apart there. And yes, you can see I'm not wearing a glove today. I probably should put one on. But I do know the inside of this reel, and I do know what I've done already. One of the things, in addition to putting that glove on, is to tell you to take pictures along the way as you go to work on your reel. I just had another Ambassador in here, and we had a problem with the mag assembly on the reel. It was a 4600 mag, and what happened was the side plate came apart, and the orientation of the piece was not noted, and when it got into the parts tray, well, it became problematic because we didn't know where and how that was situated. Well, a picture will give you an answer to that. All right, so there's three exterior pieces here that are screws that hold them to the frame, and we're going to take those off right now. Once you loosen those three screws, you should be able to just pull this out. And the rest, as I mentioned, I've been in this reel already, and you can tell by the fresh grease in the back there that the rest of the servicing has been done. And this video is not about the servicing, it's about how do you fix that free spool release. Okay, we're going to take the star adjuster off. And this is a good place to take pictures because you'll have a couple of things come off with that star adjuster over time. There's a couple of tension washers in there. Well, we'll leave them there for now, but there's a couple of tension washers and the like in there that you're going to want to note the sequence on. There's two screws that hold the side plate on now. We're going to take those off. And those are Phillips head screws. So if you like watching videos on reel repair, if you like doing reel repair, if you enjoy it as a hobby, or if you just like fishing reels in general and like to learn out more, then I would suggest that you subscribe to my channel. I work on all kinds of reels, and you'll learn a lot about the reels as I go and do the repairs. Okay, there's a side plate. Just grab it, hold the post down, the gear shaft. The back end contains the spool adjuster, and I guess some of the grease that I had actually put in there has started to leak to the side, so I can get that off. That won't be useful. And I have two tension washers. These are cupped washers, and depending on how you cup them, if you nest them, you get a minimum of play and you star drag. If you put them face to face, you get a whole lot. And if you put them back to back, kind of the same. So it's up to you. There's no wrong way to put that in. All right, so You can see it's been serviced, but the culprit here is this pinion gear, I believe, and we're going to find all of that out. We're going to take the top off. So if you're servicing your reel now, all of this stuff is pretty much important to you as we do this. There's two posts that the spring assembly rides on. Simply pull up. One of the posts is there, the other is here. Next up, I can pull this whole shaft now because I have the E-clip removed. Just note on the back here, that's a trip mechanism. And also note on the back here that we have a copper washer that sits on the base of that pole. A lot of people forget that, and then they tell me that the reel is tight and they don't understand why it's not working. I'm going to take the yoke off next, and I'm going to take the parts that I've removed and put them into my parts tray. My parts tray is nothing more than the bottom of a milk jug, or in this case I think it's some kind of soap jug or something, but it serves its purpose. All right, for those of you wondering how the trip mechanism works, there's three pieces to that. There's the jack, there's the trip lever, and then there's the transition piece that goes between the two. All right, we're just going to take those off so that we have a base plate, so that again, if you're trying to figure this one out by yourself, I can help you. If you've taken all the pieces apart and you haven't figured out how they go back together, you can start here. All right, just a little bit of grease onto that shaft. First up then is this piece. When you install this piece, it goes onto the left post if you're looking at it. And about the 11 o'clock position, there's a little tag end that goes on this side that rests there. The next up is the free spool trip mechanism that rides over that piece. And then the trip jack goes on to the center here, inside the post, and lays flat like that. Okay, there you go. That's that assembly. We have our pinion gear assembly now, and the pinion gear assembly is important. You want to note what side the pickup is on for the spool. And if you're looking at this from a kind of a top down, you're going to notice that you have a rounded edge on this side and a squared edge on this side. You want the rounded edge facing in because that's what's going to push off of this assembly here. We're going to remove that pinion gear because this is where the culprit was, as I believe it. So when you operate the free spool is going to push and pull the yoke assembly. And when it pushes and pulls the yoke assembly, this is going to go into the main gear further. It's going to go in like this. Well, those of you that watch my channel know that I always say check the teeth for irregularities, and boy do we have irregularities here. We have a scarred pinion gear. It's hard, maybe hard to see, but these teeth are not straight. In this case, you can see it almost looks like a full S here. Well, that's why the gear is grinding, and it's also why you're not getting the free spool, because as you try to push that in, it would be from this side, no, it would be from this side. When you try to push it in, it can't sink because those are not straight, but these are straight. So that's what I believe is going to be the culprit, and we're going to find out very shortly how that is. All right, I'm going to grab one of the new pieces that I was able to order. I actually got these off of eBay. If you go and you pull your schematic and you get the part number from it, there are resellers out there that do put their information on eBay and the parts for sale on eBay, and you can find them. So these are much straighter, and I'm hoping that's the cure to our problem. All right, we have our carrier or yoke. I'll put a little bit of grease into the back there. I'm going to put grease onto the slot between the gear, and then I'm going to put grease onto the teeth that are going to intersect with the main gear. Remember what I said, the rounded side faces the spool, as does the piece that has the slots in it. And it simply snaps in. That goes on. I got it back. Just like that. Now we can put our main gear on. This has been greased already. Just like that. And if you want, you can test it right now. Well, you can't because we don't have the tensioner on. Let's go put that tensioner on. When you put the tensioner on, make sure that this is on this side. This one floats, right? So it's easy enough to get that swing in the wrong place. It kind of belongs along the back there. Again, line your 2 holes. Press that down. And now we should be able to see that we can move in, and boy, did that move in nice and easy. And then you should check your firing back, and it fires right back. So we think we got it. You never know until you put it back together. Putting it back together is always fun, particularly when I have folks that leave this line on their reels. Let's see what we can do here. Let's get this back in. Again, everything else has been serviced. If you're interested in seeing how to fully service this reel, then go ahead and check out my library on YouTube. I have a lot of ambassadors that I have done, many of them with the same setup. And this darn stuff just doesn't want to quit. This is getting trapped underneath, which is a common occurrence when you do these types of reels with line on. I have a reel in my shop that somebody sent in because the reel was not performing. And what it is the line got trapped between the side plate and the spool. Well, there you go. When you go to reinstall, take those 2 brakes and push them in. You can set that to the side. We'll come back here and put our case back on. So if you have a question on a reel like this, or any reel in particular, maybe you're working on a reel and you're coming into some difficulty, if you leave that question in the comments section, I'll try and answer that as best I can if I know the answer to it. I've tried to help out a lot of folks over time. Things like my bail doesn't fire, or I don't know where the spring goes in a reel, and some of them I can answer, some I can't, but I'll try and lending a helping hand here if you have that kind of a question. And of course, Eric sent this in, which that's a clue that I do repair reels by mail, and if you have a reel that needs to be repaired, well, I do that too, and I would be happy to provide you repair information if you contact me by email on the business card that follows this video. All right, I'm going to kind of put these face to face. There's no wrong way to put it in. I get that as a question a lot. What's the proper orientation? Well, the proper orientation is whatever feels right for you in the tension on the star adjuster. Star adjuster goes next. Sometimes this starts spinning because there really isn't much. See if you can grab it with your fingers. If not, try it with a needle nose pliers. Just hold that steady, and you should be good there. Tighten it down. We're doing here. That'll give you the ability to put your handle on next. And once you put your handle on, you can come back and grab that E-clip, and now you're seeing why the parts tray is so convenient, because everything is there. I don't have to go looking around my bench to try and figure it out. Sometimes your hand strength can put it in like I just did there. Sometimes you need the assistive of pliers. Go ahead and use that pliers if that's the case. And I'm just looking. I have one piece of my parts tray. Another reason why that parts tray is valuable. That needs to be reinstalled before I can do this. And that is that little tension spring goes in here. There's a little tension spring that they put on there so that the handle doesn't lock with the star adjuster. There's a little bit of a gap there, and then you realize what it is that you're doing. Let's see if we can go 2 for 2 with pressing in with my fingers. We can, we're lucky. And now we'll take that 10 millimeter nut. I prefer to put that E-clip on before I put the handle nut on. It's just easier. You could put the handle nut on first and try and fish your way through the nut to get to that groove, and I just find it's easier doing it that way, and hopefully we've lined that up. If you square this up with the hole, most of the time you can get that handle cap screw into the hole. There we go. Let's go ahead and put this back on, see if we've solved Eric's problem or not. Okay, so just as I was going to reinstall the spool, I had it in and I noticed that the line was trapping again. So this is a case of fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. I don't need to play around putting this in several times to trap it behind the side plate. I just went and got a rubber band. Some folks would tell me go ahead and use tape or whatever. I recommend that if you're having a real service, you get rid of the line anyway, and that's what I'll suggest to Eric, but it's not mine to do that at the moment. All right, now we should be able to put the side plate back on. That comes in nice and easy. I knew I had the line trapped the last time because as I went to put the side plate on, it was not snapping in easily. And we're trying to solve two issues here. The first one is we're trying to solve for free spool, and the second one is we're trying to solve for the gear grind. And I think as I was looking at this, it tells me that there's an issue with both, and that's the primary cause. So let's find out. Okay, let's give it a test then. So first thing first, let's make sure we tighten down our drags. Give it a twirl. Look at that, nice and quiet, no grind. But of course that wasn't the issue that it came in for. That was a consequence of the issue that it came in for. It came in for the fact that this free spool release wasn't working. So let's make sure that works. Well, it was easy enough to push down. Do we have free spool? We do. Let's give it a crank. There you go. Make sure that the drags are holding. Tighten down beautifully. So there you go. If you're having a problem with your stuck free spool release, there could be a couple of issues. We went through all of them. I have an example side plate here that I just took. The problem could be in the bad grease on the mechanisms that go up and down, the lever arm, the release arm, and the jack. It could also be a sticking yoke, although that's generally less of a problem. And in this case, we found out that we had a scarred pinion gear, and that pinion gear, because it was scarred, was not meshing properly with the main gear, and that caused the failure to release as it pushed in, and also it caused the grinding noise that we heard as it was winding without being released. So I hope that's been enjoyable. If you liked it, please indicate that. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And as always, please stay well, stay safe, and stay watching. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.